Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and today we are going to be discussing the possibility of WWE being sold. So, this is something that's been going on, the potentiality for about over a year now. I think these really kicked off really at the end of, I think, 2021 is when we started hearing rumblings about it. But it went through all 2022 and then into this year, 2023. And I'm really, really surprised that it's gotten to this point. So when I started first hearing about this potential sale back in 2021, I thought it would never happen. I thought there was zero chance. Zero. Because I've watched wrestling for a long time, and well, I don't know Vince personally. I just know how he is as a businessman. I know how he operates, that like his company. He wants to keep it his company. He has no intention of selling. He wants to keep it at the front. You know what I'm saying? He built this company from the ground up. He don't want to leave. He don't want to be like, okay, I made this thing into a juggernaut. I'm at the most value that I can possibly get it at. Now it's time to sell. He's not like that. He wants to keep it until his dying breath. He's maintained that throughout the years. And so, from a wrestling fan perspective that has been watching it, and I'm sure everyone that's been watching wrestling for a long time probably got that same idea that Vince McMahon has no intentions of selling the company. And then, of course, as we all know, in 2022, some allegations arise. And when these allegations arise, you guys, if you followed me on my Discord server, I was saying that I felt that this isn't going to intimidate Vince McMahon. Because Vince McMahon has literally probably had some of the more out there type scandals throughout his tenure, throughout his entire tenure of being the owner of WWE. Now, he's been the owner since 1982, okay, when he bought it from his father, Vince Sr. And so he's been the guy for a long time, okay? He's been the guy for a long time for this company. He grew this company. And my whole perspective on it was he's just not leaving. Because, the dude literally was arrested and put on trial for steroid use to his wrestlers, which he was found not guilty of. But he was still on trial for a crime that could have landed him in jail for a number amount of years. This is all while he's running this company. And he was found not guilty of that ultimately, but obviously he had to still go through court. He still had to go through trial. Like, he had to do all that stuff. And this is a criminal, not civil. Okay? And he went through all of that and still came out after he was found not guilty, the same guy that continued booking, continued doing all the stuff with WWE, yada, 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 the whole 9 yards. So my whole stance on this is like, there's nothing stopping this guy. This guy, he's a workhorse. He's just going to continue doing what he's doing. That's just how he is. That's how Vince is. That's how Vince McMahon is. He's a workhorse. Whether you love him or hate him, he's a workhorse. And he just keeps trucking, no matter what happens. This guy's had every scandal known to man. All right. That has come up over the years. And it doesn't stop him. It doesn't stop him. He keeps going. And that's where I was like, this wasn't like the allegations that were against him were more of, it wasn't so much about the relationships that he had or whatever. It was more about him not reporting money, to the WWE stockholders or whatever, because WWE is a public company now. It's been a public company since mid 1999. So that's where the issue arose. It was more about that is what got him in trouble than it was about his relationships that he had. Okay? That's really what did him in. Now, he retired, quote unquote, as I use, retired, but I never believed he was really retired. I never really believed he was retired because he owns 85% of the voting power. Now, while WWE is a publicly traded company since mid-1999, the way the company was structured when they went public, because they were originally a private company for a long time, they went public because WCW at the time was kicking their ass in 97. The top competition in wrestling, Ted Turner. Vince McMahon was not the billionaire that he is today, like Ted Turner was. Ted Turner in the 90s obviously was a conglomerate. He had Time Warner, cable, he had all this other stuff, and he had WCW. That's how WCW were overpaying the wrestlers and giving them a crap load of money that Vince McMahon could never afford. And so they were kicking their ass, and so he applied to be a private company, or he applied to be a public company in 97, mid-97, which is what also kind of led to the Montreal Screwjob, by the way, because, they kind of told Vince to, kind of get out of any long-term deal commitments. And so that kind of indirectly led to the Montreal Screwjob, but by the time they became a publicly traded company in mid-1999, because it obviously takes a while, for that stuff to happen, while that was going on, by mid-1999, WWE was kicking WCW's ass. And then, of course, as we all know, by early 2001, WCW was destroyed, and Vince bought it for relatively cheap for what it was worth, just a couple of years prior. But it's been publicly traded ever since. And that relays issues because the way, again, it was structured in a way where Vince McMahon could still kind of be the owner, if you know what I mean. Now, obviously, when you become a publicly traded company, there's no longer really an owner, per se, of WWE, because you got shareholders and stuff like that. But the way it was structured and agreed upon to when Vince took his WWE as a public company back in 1989, it was structured in a way where Vince had pretty much all the say. So he has 85% of the voting power. He's obviously the majority shareholder, the majority owner of the company. But he has 85% of the voting power. This is stuff that they gave him, that the trading place, company or whatever, when he became a public company, gave him. They gave him this kind of power. And this never was really an issue when it became a public company, because mainly everybody was agreeing upon that Vince McMahon would oversee the operations, would oversee the creative. He would oversee pretty much everything, because that's what Vince has always done. He has always been the boss, the head of creative, pretty much everything. He's done everything. Pretty much when it comes to running the operation. And now we're kind of in this, we're kind of in a WWE where it's kind of being divided now. Even Vince McMahon in interviews years past said that whenever, he's gone, they would probably have to divide everything up. Creative, chairman, like the person who runs, that runs the books. Everything would be all divided up into different positions. But obviously with Vince McMahon there, he was always going to be the guy that would do all of it, because that's how it was always structured when he started the company, or when the company was a private company. That's pretty much how it worked. So because it became a publicly traded company, WWE obviously then turned more into, Vince became, bigger, in terms of wealth. WWE got more known recognition because of them being publicly traded. So there was a benefit to them being publicly traded over private, because obviously they could pay more salaries to wrestlers by them being publicly traded rather than being private, because it would just be going out of Vince's pocket at that point. So the structure was much different back then than it is now. But Vince McMahon, now as we all know, he basically forearmed his way literally back into the company. Because he had the voting power, he basically was able to bring himself back and make him the chairman again, which is what he is right now. Now, as of right now, as of this recording, Triple H is still head of creative. Now, Triple H was the one who took over for Vince McMahon for the creative department when he, retired for, his fake 4-month retirement. So, despite Vince McMahon being the chairman again, he is not involved with creative. Triple H is involved with creative, and I definitely believe he's involved with creative. I do think Triple H is kind of doing a little bit of things to kind of please Vince McMahon, though. Here and there, like, for example, the whole thing with Chelsea Green at the Rumble, where she got eliminated in like 2 seconds. That was definitely a Vince McMahon type thing, so I'm thinking Triple H is kind of booking some stuff to kind of appease to Vince since he is in charge, because that felt like something Vince would have done, not Triple H. Not that Triple H can't make mistakes. Obviously, we're all human, but when Triple H was in charge with Vince not there at all, yes, was there decisions that were made that I didn't necessarily like? Yeah, but it was very on the low end. A lot of the decisions Triple H has made overall has been very positive. So, that kind of surprised me. So, nonetheless, as the topic of this video is the potential sale of the company for WWE. Vince McMahon claims he came back to the WWE to just sell it, or a potential sale. I do not believe this is the case. Now, if you noticed when Vince McMahon announced that he thought about coming back a month before he actually did come back, the stocks went down. But then a month later, when he actually did come back, and forearmed his way back in, the stocks went up, but that was because they said they went up because he was coming back to sell the company. That's why they went up, not because he was coming back. And so I think that's going to be the issue here with Vince. And it's going to be an issue if he decides to sell it, because what company is going to want to sell or is going to want to buy the WWE with Vince McMahon in charge of the fold still, because that's what a lot of the idea is well, we don't want Vince McMahon involved anymore. I don't believe Vince McMahon will ever sell the company unless he is involved still in capacity, kind of the way Dana White is still involved with the UFC. And I'm not going to get into his allegations right now because that's not the topic of this video, but I just wanted to use that point as an example because when he was part owner of UFC, they sold it to another company after they made it huge, and he was still able to stay on as, the guy who runs the operation. And that's basically what I believe Vince McMahon would want to do if he ever did end up selling it. That there would be a guarantee that he'd be still involved. And I can't see any of these companies right now with the allegations that are going on right now, which again, they're allegations, but still it's very, very damning allegations that might be too much for even Vince McMahon in this world, in this social media age, I should say. There's really no way I could think Vince could really get himself out of this. Now, in a, I guess, recent interview by WWE CEO Nick Khan, no relations to Tony Khan, by the way, for people that are still confused by that. In a recent interview he did with, I guess, CNBC, he basically said that WWE is willing to leave. Vince McMahon is willing to leave the WWE for a potential buyer if they don't want him involved. I think that's a bunch of horse shit. I think Nick Khan's just saying that because they got to do everything to make themselves look good. I don't believe for a second that Vince McMahon, who literally, from the reports that we're hearing, basically forearmed his way back into the company because he wanted to be involved in the potential sale. And if he wasn't, then he wasn't going to allow them to make any new deals because I guess their contract with Fox that does SmackDown and NBC Universal, which does Monday Night Raw, he basically said that if he wasn't allowed to come back as the chairman, that he would not allow them to sign a new deal, whether it be with those channels or any other channels, for Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown without him involved. And so this led to board members resigning, and then new board members being appointed by Vince McMahon, by the way. Got board members that either like him or, are going to just agree with whatever he says. Basically, I don't believe for a second that Vince McMahon isn't going to ever sell the company without him still being involved with the company. But quite frankly, I don't think he's going to sell it, period. I think this is just a ploy to up the value of it. I can't see anybody buying it. Warner Brothers is in debt, plus they're in deals with AEW right now, and they're in debt. So they can't even afford their own contents at this point. And they're also going cheap in the movie industry too. So people saying that Warner Brothers Discovery is going to buy WWE doesn't know Warner Brothers' financial crisis. They've had 3 owners in 10 years. Honestly, Warner Brothers are in their own crisis right now, much worse than WWE is right now. As a matter of fact, I would argue that WWE is more worthy, profitable than Warner Brothers is right now. Warner Brothers, with all their write-offs and all their other dumb shit that they're doing, which would take a cajillion different videos that I could make. I mean, there's a lot of videos I can make on Warner Brothers and everything going on with Warner Brothers, and It would not be the video, but they're definitely not going to get it. Comcast would make the most sense because of NBC connection with Monday Night Raw. But as this interview said, that they, the reporter basically told Nick Khan that they don't think that's possible. So they kind of shot that down literally right in the interview. The interviewers from CNBC literally shot that down when Nick Khan said, possibly Comcast. That shot that down. That's probably not going to happen. Netflix, I hope to God it doesn't go to Netflix because I don't want to see woke WWE. I already seen enough of that stuff. And based on the way Netflix are, especially the way they treated Cowboy Bebop, yeah, I'd rather not see that. So let's hope Netflix doesn't get it. And also, even more so, the pay-per-views, like what would happen to pay-per-views at that point? Are we going to go back to regular pay-per-views or go be on a streaming? Well, WWE's already on a streaming service, technically, so that's just a mess. I would not want to go to Netflix. There's a lot of problems with that to begin with. What else? What else were they saying for buyers? They're also talking about possibly the company that owns UFC now as possibly getting WWE, which I don't think that's possible because of them doing fighting. They're already doing the UFC, and I know UFC fighting is different from WWE wrestling because theirs isn't predetermined, but it's still kind of in the same ballpark really when you're looking at content. So I don't know how that would really mix well. Fox has the money because of all the money that they got from Disney for 20th Century Fox when they sold that to Disney. I just don't know if Fox are willing to keep Vince McMahon on. I don't know. I mean, they would probably be the more likely ones to do it out of all the companies that are in the running. But even then, I still don't know if they would. Vince McMahon right now has kind of too much baggage for a lot of people right now. Which is just crazy since I think he's had worse allegations from years ago than he does now. I mean, this is just about, him possibly, misreporting stuff from the stock, which don't get me wrong, that's bad. But I don't think it's as bad as some of the allegations he's had over the years. That obviously, for example, the one where he was criminally charged for possibly, having his wrestlers take steroids or giving his wrestlers steroids, which he was proven not guilty of, by the way. So he was innocent of that. But, this is how the media world is today. But yeah, I don't believe for a second from what Nick Khan is saying in this interview. Nick Khan has to basically sell this idea that Vince is willing. Now, he also said within 3 months. I can't see that happening within 3 months. I can't see them making a realistic sale in 3 months. And also, I'm sorry, I do apologize if there is some company I missed too, by the way. I'm not going to get to every company that's in the writing. I know Saudi Arabia, possibly. I know there's huge backlash for that. Rightfully so. It should not go to them. But it's just crazy right now. WWE is in an interesting spot because WWE for like the past months since Triple H took over has actually been entertaining because it actually feels like a wrestling show. It doesn't feel like some bullshit trying to be wrestling. And just falls flat. it actually feels like a wrestling show now. Yes, there are some hiccups with Triple H, but for the most part, it's felt very good. They actually use the word wrestling. Michael Cole doesn't have an ear hole literally in his head all the time, being forced to say things that are just so just, whatever. You know, a lot of people haven't been able to follow Michael Cole in the past years because Vince McMahon is always in his head, literally feeding him lines to say, and not being natural like he used to be in the early 2000s. The early 2000s and even in the late 90s when he subbed in for JR, Michael Cole literally was a good commentator. He was a great commentator. I still don't think he's one of the best. I know a lot of people say that, but I don't think he's one of the best commentators ever. But Michael Cole, to me, is very, very underrated as a commentator because of the way Vince always was in his head. He's been in his head for years, making him say dumb shit. And now that no one's in his ear hole anymore, he can actually be genuine for once. You can see it. Like, a lot of people have been praising Michael Cole as of late. Ever since Vince retired and Triple H has just given him free range to just say, not being able to take away the banned words, because WWE had banned words when Vince was in charge. Being able to be free more and to say more. It's just been a better overall show. They need to get a really better commentator on the Raw team. He's fine. But the other guy, I forget what the other guy's name is, but that guy, he's just not good on commentary, and they really need to get someone for Corey Graves, because Corey Graves is an okay commentator. I like him as a commentator, but he's not one of the best, but he's good for what he is. But the other guy that they have, and I don't know what his name is, the guy who they currently have with Corey Graves right now, he sucks. Like, they need to get... I don't know why he's still on the... I still don't know why he's a commentator right now. There's no way you can convince me that guy is better than anybody that's on the commentating team, right? Like, I would get King back. I get Jerry the King Lawler back. He's still under contract. Get him back. Bring him back for a couple of months until you get a new commentator. All right, get Jerry the King Lawler back, because I think Jerry the King Lawler is still a good commentator, despite people getting pissed off about his ramen noodle comment, that everyone got offended by. When Jerry the King Lawler has said far worse years ago. And if you're an OG WWE fan, you know what he said years ago. So people that are complaining about that are just really, really not knowing what the product was. But yeah, where does this go with Vince? Like I said, I think Vince McMahon, in the end, they won't sell the company. If they do sell the company, you bet your ass Vince McMahon is involved. I don't care what Nick Khan says. Nick Khan's just saying that just to say it. Vince McMahon literally, if Vince McMahon really felt that way, why would he forearm his way back into the company? He owns the voting power. They can't sell the company without his approval. So all he had to do was just basically go up to them and say, hey, I want to be involved in the selling process. They could have been like, okay, yeah, fine. That's all Vince had to do. He didn't have to bully his way back into being in charge. But he did. He forearmed his way back in because he wanted to be in charge. And that's why I don't believe they're selling. And if they are selling, it's going to be him involved still. some way, some form. This is Nick Khan just trying to do good PR. And Nick Khan knows that. Nick Khan knows. He knows how Vince is. He's been around him for around about 3 years now. He knows how Vince is. He has to know. He has to know how Vince is by now and how he operates. So in closing, I don't think it's getting sold. And if it does, Vince will be in charge. Rest assured that they'll keep him around. And Triple H might be on borrowed time. I hope I'm wrong, but I do think Vince McMahon will eventually slowly get himself back into creative, whether it's in a couple of months or it's when the sale happens. Nick Khan is basically saying that, instead of renewing with, these channels, we might as well just sell it, and then they can put it on whatever network they want. So that's what they're waiting on. They were waiting on for these deals to expire so then they can put it on whoever the owner is can put it on their thing. I did forget to mention Disney might be interested in buying WWE. I don't believe that. Disney is in very Disney is in their own issues right now. They got their whole issues with their amusement park in Florida right now, which is going to cost them a lot of money. If you guys research that. Also, Disney is losing money on the Fox deal that they just did a couple of years ago. They overpaid it. They have not made the money back from the $71 billion they gave to Fox to buy it. So they're in a big, they have big money issues right now. Disney. I don't think Disney, despite Bob Iger coming back, I don't think Disney is going to be anywhere near Vince McMahon and WWE. I don't think they have I don't think they want to spend $10 million because WWE is going to be at least $10 billion. Okay, and they already spent a shit ton of money on that. I don't think they want to do that right now. I don't think they want to buy any new major company right now. Especially with all the losses they're getting right now with all their other stuff. And then there's Amazon too. I forgot about Amazon. Maybe Amazon because they do have Amazon Prime. But at the same time, I don't think Amazon would want Vince McMahon. That's the only thing that's hurling them. I don't think they're going to want to bring Vince in. Amazon's not going to want Vince on there. Are you serious right now? So yeah, that's my thoughts. Anything else I missed? Let me know what you guys think. Comment, rate, if you like this video, my reviews, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for all the latest contents. And that's about it, guys. I am the S Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace.